great salespeople ask and smile. I remember Mark Victor Hansen, who was a co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, who's become a good friend, spoken at our events. And when I was first going into the seminar business, I had this really funny presentation. And it was, I'd tell my story of the immigrant from Ireland who's coming to America and got into real estate, and they're trying to teach me cold calling and door knocking and all these high pressure sales techniques, which just weren't me and turned out weren't for most people. And I would tell kind of my own funny experience with that. If you've ever checked it out, go on YouTube and see Brian's story. You'll have a good laugh. And you'll see I was fully black hair with a thicker Irish accent. It was really funny stuff. Worth a look. But the fact of the matter is, Mark Victor, when I was first talking to him and I was in the speaking business, he goes, Brian, when you're really funny and entertaining all the way through your speech, make sure you're really funny and entertaining when you ask for the order. And it was brilliant because all of a sudden it's like, oh no, now is the thing. This is the big drop. This is the big moment of truth. This is really what I'm after. So my tone changes and whatever changed. And the truth of the matter is you just got to be consistent. The truth of the matter is if you've done a good job, you've brought people to natural conclusions. But now you need to have the courage to ask. And what are you asking for? Well, you're asking for three things. The first thing is for the commitment. Sometimes the commitment is, hey, I want to really serve you and I want to help you. Are you willing to have me serve you? And are we going to make an agreement that you're going to be my client and I'm going to be your service provider? Okay? So you want to ask for the commitment. Jack Canfield, again, he says, if you're not moving closer to what you want in sales, you're probably not doing enough asking. A great proverb says, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. And then actress Vanessa Redgrave said, ask the right questions if you're to find the right answers. The second thing you want to have the courage to ask is ask for the order, ask for the sale. You need to do that. You need to bring people to the proper conclusion. That's why they're talking to a salesperson. Okay, the reason they're talking to a salesperson is they're interested in buying something. And you need to enjoy that process. You need to embrace that process. You want to sell something, enjoy the process of selling. For all the stories I just told you, and the putting the keys in the hands of the people and helping somebody get over their credit for years. I have thousands of these stories. Let me say this. I used to have an old school briefcase and it were paper contracts. I'm dating myself now. But let me tell you this. My favorite sound was putting the contract in that briefcase and then click, click, and I'd carry that briefcase into the car. And it was just like, yeah, it was great. I loved it. I loved the feeling of that. And so you got to ask for the order. You got to ask for the sale. Okay? Now, from the National Sales Executive Association, well, here's some stats. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. 48, so that's half. This is why it's easier to succeed than ever before. I'm talking about they never follow up one time. Somebody raises their hand in the air, I'm interested, and by the way, when the market gets raging hot and then cools off a little, people get into terrible bad habits. Well, this person looked at the house, this person looked at what I have to offer, this person looked at my services, and then they didn't buy. I'm on to the next. Well, what a lousy attitude that is towards sales. And that's why 50% of people don't follow up even one time. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. 12% of sales people make 3 contacts and stop. That's solid. 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts as a follow-up. Now, let's talk about how people buy. 2% of sales are made on the first contact. Now, I want you to think about this. So about half the salespeople don't follow up. That means they have 50% of the people shooting for 2% of sales. Now, you don't have to be a math major to figure this out. You have 50% of salespeople who don't follow up with a prospect, and only 2% of prospects buy on an initial conversation with the salesperson. 3% of sales are made after the second. 5% of sales are made after the third. 10% of sales are made after the fourth. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. 80%. Now, I will say the more expensive a product and service that you sell, the more likely it is it requires that many follow-ups. So you just got to keep following up and be respectful and be courteous and do it in a service-oriented way. But understand the people, the bigger the decision, they need a bit more time making the decision. 80% of the sales are made after the 5th contact. Okay? And that's why I tell people all the time. I tell my kids all the time. I tell my family all the time. I tell young people all the time. It's easier to succeed than ever before. Why? Because half the people don't even bother following up one time. So if you have a desire to serve and the ability to consult and the courage to ask, you're going to crush it. You're going to be a great salesperson. You're going to be able to sell and smile. Smile because you enjoy it. Smile because you're serving. And smile because you're making a boatload of money. All good reasons to smile. Thanks for watching. If you want more tips on how to think, feel, and do better, check out these videos too. Oh, by the way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave us a like if you enjoyed the content.